Okay, let's take a look at the basic shapes. So we have a square with side lengths of 2, and the area is length times width, capital L, so it doesn't look like a 1. Substituting into the formula, A equals 2 times 2, and A equals 4. At this point, I will look in the diagram and notice that we have centimeters and centimeters. Therefore, the area is 4 centimeters squared. I'm going to circle my answer. And I usually don't put the units in the formula until the end. It's just a lot of extra unnecessary work. We have from our formula sheet, the perimeter is just adding up all the sides. And I'm actually going to do that. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. And the perimeter will be 8 centimeters. We could use the more complicated formulas like 2L plus 2W. Oh, I didn't write my formula. Always write your formulas. Length plus width plus width. And yes, we could have done 2L plus 2W, which would have been a better idea. All good. Okay, let's take a rectangle with side lengths of 3 and 2. Again, the formula is A equals LW. We have an area of, length 3 times width 2. Notice that order doesn't matter because you could rotate the shape and it'd be exactly the same. And area is therefore 6. We used meters. We have to have the same units to use these formulas. And area is squared, so 6 meters squared. The formula for perimeter, this time let's use 2L plus 2W, which means we have 2 times 3 plus 2 times 2. Therefore, we have a perimeter of 6 plus 4, which is 10 meters. And let's take a triangle with a base of 5 and a height of 3. So let's, for example, say that this is 4 and this is 2. We're now working with inches. And the formula for the area is base times height divided by 2. Substituting in the formula, we have a base of 5, a height of 3, dividing by 2. We have an area of 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. We have to keep our units inches, and because it's an area, it is squared, circling my answer. And then we have the formula for the perimeter. Now, these are made up numbers. It could work, but it's just not going to work. It can't. It can't. I made it up just so they're nice, simple numbers. But, for example, that 2 off to the left, that's just impossible. You can't have a vertical height of 3 and a 2 being an angle towards it. No problem. That was an accident on my part. So, either way, I'm just going to add up all the sides. A plus B plus C. P equals 2 plus 4 plus 5. Therefore, P equals 11 inches. And then let's take our final simple shape, our circle with a radius of 3. Notice in the notes I gave a diameter of 6. You have to divide that by 2 to get the radius. I usually don't put diameters in the shapes because I like the formulas with radius. We know the formula for area is pi r squared. And before I calculate, I'm going to write down the formula for circumference. If I take the 2 and I put it down in front from the area formula, I can just say 2 pi r, a great way to memorize these. Then we can substitute. So we have A equals pi times 3 squared, which A is 9 pi. Let's get some units. I chose feet. So 9 pi feet squared, or you could take 9 and multiply it by the pi. Sometimes they require you to leave it in a certain form. But A equals 28.27 feet squared, and I'm going to circle both those last answers. They are both viable. Now I'm going to calculate their circumference. C equals 2 pi times 3, which is 6 pi, and that's feet. Or I can do it, C equals 18.85, simply multiplying 6 by pi, feet, and I'm going to circle those answers. So these are going to be the basic shapes. We have to memorize pretty much all of these formulas. I'm going to overline A equals LW for two different formulas. The triangle, base times height divided by 2. How do we remember that? Well, we know that every triangle is just half of a rectangle. So if you're going to take a rectangle, you just do length times width. We have to divide it by 2. I'm going to overline the formula for the area of a circle. A equals pi r squared, and C equals 2 pi r. Keep in mind, finding the perimeter of simple shapes is just adding up all the sides, whatever their sides are. So this is going to be our basic shapes. Length times width, base times height divided by 2, pi r squared, and 2 pi r. Four formulas to memorize if you want to get anywhere in mathematics. So those are going to be the basic shapes. Now let's take a look at applying them to more complicated three-dimensional shapes.